Is not an alien force already among us?
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
From some other species, from another planet, outside in the universe.
Welcome to S4.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to S4, the official radio broadcast of Forest Moon Paranormal, with host Eric Cooper and our panel of enlightened minds. Coming to you live from FMP headquarters located in the heart of Skagit Valley, Washington, at the base of the majestic North Cascade Mountains. We will take you through a journey of exploration as we examine every aspect of the metaphysical. From spirits, UFOs, Bigfoot, and conspiracies, to grounding, protection, astral travel, and everything in between, leaving you with a better understanding and comprehension of the world around you, and the entities that inhabit it. Join us every Saturday night at Spreaker.com and locally on KSVU 90.1. Don't forget to check out our new webpage at www.s-4radio.com. Now sit back, open your mind, get ready. This is S4.
Good evening or morning, depending on where you are, and welcome to S4, the voice of Forest Moon Paranormal, coming to you live from the FMP headquarters in the heart of the Cascade Mountains in Concrete, Washington. FMP is a highly active emergency response team for all aspects of the paranormal, from aggressive hauntings to alien interaction, Bigfoot and other cryptids, and everything in between is terrifying. S4 is the voice where we discuss these things in detail. Not only can you find S4 right here on Spreaker, but for our local listeners, also on KSVU 90.1 FM from 10 to 12 Saturdays with pre-recorded shows. So, folks, we're already in April. It's the 6th of April, and we're talking religion in general, and its influence and discussion on spirits and malevolent entities, UFOs and aliens, and even Bigfoot and other cryptids. So, throughout history, the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, the Mahabharata, and many other sacred texts have brought these topics up since the beginning of human civilization. What does it all mean? And why have many religions twisted these beliefs? Tonight we also have special guest Dr. Turi with us to discuss many of these topics, and I'll let him explain his background. So tonight with us we have Cole Wegleitner, our FMP Lore and Culture Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ Services, Chris and Brent Dodge, Chris with the Extended Care team and Brent with the Astral team, and Dr. Turi, author and lecturer and founder of the Cosmic Code, also regularly featured with his predictions on Coast to Coast. Glad to have him on tonight, and he'll be at the FMP Paracon in September as well. So how are we all doing tonight?
Awesome.
Good.
Excellent. So I got some announcements real quick. April 13th, it doesn't apply so much to S4, but we are going to be in the 4th of July parade in Cedar Woolley, Washington. Look for the FMP float. It's going to be the only float with Bigfoot. And September 28th, obviously, we have Paracon, which we're planning for. And I just got Dave Miller locked in today. He's the creator of Spirit Apps and known for the Executioner's Box. I've been trying to get him on for a couple of years. He's a great techie at what he does. So, Dr. Turi, before we get started, I'd like you to go ahead and give us a little bit of a background.
Eric?
Yeah.
Can I break in 1 second?
Yeah. And go ahead and tell us about our. We are going to do a moment of silence for a hockey team. Cole's going to go into that, and we do have a paying sponsor as well. So go into that too, if you could, Cole.
I will. So first off, I just want to say S4 sends our thoughts and prayers to the Humboldt Broncos, their family, their friends, and all those affected by the horrible crash that happened 1 year ago today that took 16 lives and injured 13 others. Those young boys will never get to see their families again. Their families will never get to see them. But we know they're playing hockey somewhere. So, sorry for your loss, guys. Just gotta try and keep going on. I know we got a lot of listeners in the Saskatchewan area and all throughout Canada, so thank you for listening. Also, Bayview Tattoo out of Oak Harbor, Washington, has just become another paid sponsor through us. They will be featured in our commercial ads, hopefully by next week, as long as I get my ass in gear.
Right.
So, thank you very much to Bayview Tattoo for joining us, and hopefully they'll have a booth at Paracon if Tanya wants to. I don't know.
Indeed.
Did she answer that, Eric? I can't remember.
No. Not yet.
Okay.
And so Dave is in the chat room. So I know we have a lot of new listeners that are out here that follow Dr. Turi, and they're not in the chat room because, well, if you're on Spreaker, you look for the little chat window. It'll pull up a chat, and we do have live chat every show we do. And Dave wants a beard update. So yes, my beard is graying, and it will be much bigger at Paracon, and probably white by then. But without further ado, Dr. Turi, go ahead and give us a little bit of a background on what got you started.
Well, I was born and raised in the south of France, in Provence, where the great prophet Nostradamus was also born. I have nothing to do with Nostradamus, apart from that I spend, I'm 69 now, so I spent 35 years rekindling his divine astrology methodology, which allows me to make predictions, and with your permission later on I will do that, give you some predictions. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I'm an author, and I've been kind of busy helping people to gather cosmic consciousness and to understand the world of the divine, God, cosmic divinity, and the world of the UFOs.
That's got to be that's got to be amazing. I just got to say.
Well, yeah, they've been with me since I am 7 years old, and it's getting very interesting as I grow older. That's for sure.
Indeed. And we'll go into your books a little bit towards the end of the show and where they can, where listeners can find books and listen to your shows and whatnot.
Sure.
So tonight's topic, you know, I'm sitting here thinking here. You know, you talk about the Bible, the Torah, the Quran, and they all talk about, they've been talking about the paranormal since the beginning of civilization, even on, you know, on stone tablets and whatnot in Egypt, in the Middle East. Go into what knowledge you have on some of the religious texts that go into the paranormal.
Well, again, you know, anytime you talk about religion, like politics, is an extraordinarily sensitive topic, and I do not want to offend anybody. So please, I know it is. My information may kind of vex and either upset or maybe amaze you. So please bear with me as I channel an entity called Draco, which is a benevolent extraterrestrial that is working through me. So all religions were created by a group of extraterrestrials which are called the reptilians, not the reptilians, the reptilians. And the reptilians can only survive through negativity, and they knew very well that creating geographically over 875 different denominations, it would create chaos. They also made sure to split our languages so that could create more chaos. But in order really to understand, you need to be aware of the basics. Life is made only on two forces, positive, negative, up and down, black and white, the front, the back, God, devil. Without opposites, there is absolutely no lives possible. As far as extraterrestrials are concerned, it is biblically the names that are used to represent the reptilians are endless. You have the fallen angel, devil, Satan, and a myriad of other words that you might have heard somewhere, read somewhere, or heard somebody mentioning. So these are the forces of evil. They can only survive when you are negative, depressed. The reptilians use also drugs and alcohol. They use greed. They use anything and everything that is debauchery and sex. Anything that is negative, they force you into a block, so to speak, of negativity, and they all reside in dark matter. They travel in time and space through black holes, and they have stations. They have planets where they have bases. One is Pluto, okay, which is recognized as the planet of hell and devil and evil, very negative for below them, the underworld. The devil, the underworld is controlled by this planet. So they have a station, they have a base. They are very much interested in our planet, pretty much like Putin would annex Ukraine, or the Chinese would annex a little island in the South Pacific and turn it into a base. The reptilians are very much interested in Mother Earth because it would allow them to have a strategic position in our solar system that would allow them, like a cancer, to infect more solar systems surrounding ours. Now, the good news is, without the devil, there is no God. Without God, there is no devil. Without a male, there is no female. The good news is that we have another group of extraterrestrials, which is called the Draconis, not to be mixed up with what you might have heard called the Draconians, which are very negative. The Draconis are the gardeners of this world. They are the ones who stimulate the mind of scientists to create absolutely wonderful, mind-boggling technology that can help your heart, that can help your vision, that can help anything and everything that supports longevity and health in the human experience. So these are the Draconis. They regenerate with beauty. They help a beautiful person to create beautiful music, create a beautiful song, create a beautiful painting. Their job is to endorse and promote the light. And you have to remember, every one of us is symmetrical, which means you have two eyes, two arms, two legs, two sides of the brain. You're pretty much like a battery. And each time you're negative and you feed the reptilians, you are discharging your battery. You are degenerating to the point to where you need help, medical medication or legal or illegal drug to support, to endorse, and take care of your life, so to speak. The next thing you know, you are laying down the red carpet for the reptilians that hijack your body, your mind, and your soul and turn you into a killing machine if you don't kill yourself before, of course. That's why there are so many people committing suicide. So it is important to understand where I'm coming from. Now, the bad extraterrestrial, you can call him the falling angel, and you can give them wings. The good extraterrestrial, the Draconis, you can call them the guardian angel, and you can give them wings too. It's part of your own imagination to create the future, because we have been made in the image of God. We create our reality, and this is what I teach my students, the future is nothing else than the reincarnation of the thought. You have been made in the image of God. You are here in training as God and Goddess in this dense physical world to learn to create your reality for the majestuous, incredible, formidable work you have to do once your number is up and you move on into the fourth dimension, where you become a co-creator when you come back to God, when you come back to yourself, when you come back to the fourth, and then the opportunity is given to you again to further the future by creating new forms of life, new butterfly, new animals, new marvelous possibility. In fact, your imagination is your only limitation once you pass on.
Okay,
the only
Doctor.
problem is,
So, Dr.
go
Turi,
ahead.
I just want to clarify because a lot of our listeners, they hear about alien races all the time on the show. So,
Right.
the reptilians are different than the reptilians, correct?
Absolutely. No, they're the same, but the name, when Draco referred to what you call the reptilians, he called them the reptilians. He doesn't call them the reptilians. Don't ask me why. I just don't know. That's just like the Draconis. I said, but when the first time I heard when he mentioned the Draconis, I immediately associate them with the Draconian. He says, oh, no. The Draconis are coming from the constellation of Draco. They are the gardeners of this world, very different. So we're talking about names in relationship to what you have heard before. So I just give you the name that I channel, that's all.
Well, and I also think sometimes it's a really just potato. So, even with the research I've done on alien races, it meshed with what our Keith knew, but he knew them by different names. Same description in some cases. Now, I've got to ask, though, so with many of the abduction cases that we deal with, we've got the Greys, we've got the Mantids. In a very few cases, there's reptilians present. Why would reptilians be involved with some cases and not others? Do you know why?
Well, basically, as I said, each group of extraterrestrial negative, whatever name you give them, the gray, whatever it is, they are dignified robots, so to speak, and they have their specific agenda. For example, let's say a young mother parties too much, or if you're a celebrity, you have to have a very, very busy lifestyle. Then you have to take drugs to be on time in places, and then you have to take more drugs to go to sleep because the demand on you is extraordinary. So now you become very vulnerable to a reptilian infestation or an abduction. The next thing you know, some of those entities goes inside of the wombs of those mothers, so to speak, and manipulate the genes. The next thing you know, you have Down syndromes, then you have autism, and then you have gays and lesbians. That doesn't mean that I have a lot of friends, clients, and students that are gays and lesbian, and it's not something you have to take personally. You need to understand that modern science does not know that you are not becoming gay or lesbian, or you're born gay or lesbian because the genes were manipulated by the reptilians, because the mother was infected through a negative lifestyle. Sometimes it's not a negative lifestyle. Sometimes it's just a medication behind the counter that stimulates the abduction and the manipulation of the gene within the womb of that mother. So I'm just giving you information to what science is not willing or able to accept or assimilate just yet. But that's what I know from channeling Draco.
Now, where did Draco, the Draco that you channel, where did he come from?
He's coming from the constellation of Draco, okay? And he came into my life on June 12, 2012, and again, I have a series of orbs where you see that orbs coming from 10 feet away from me, and a succession, and then coming straight into my third eye, and then going down to my heart and coming out of my heart. You could see those orbs very, very actively on my website, drturi.com. If you click on a message to the world, you could see that.
Okay. So I'm thinking here again. Okay, wait, you're feeding a lot of information here, and it's great.
Yep.
So, and I agree with you. I've heard the theories about alien races that manipulated the human genome, basically created the humans on this planet, and they took it over and they used religion to manipulate or to control humans.
Right.
And I believe that's pretty much what you're saying, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, you as I said, the reptilians, the dark force, evil, Satan, the devil, whatever you want to call it, or the reptilians, whatever name you give to the negative force, this energy cannot survive without fears, without chaos, without fighting. And they are obviously winning the battle, because if you look around you on Facebook, or if you look around you, the only thing you have is negativity. I mean, if you take a compass, it's going to point out north. It's not going to point out south. That tells you that the negative energy is overbearing, and it's going to get much worse as we move forward, unless we work as a unit with the Draconists and beat the reptilians at their own psychical game. But I can guarantee you that if you try to be positive, will it be only for the next 15 minutes? You will find it extraordinarily difficult. So it is a battle. The part of God in you is much stronger than the stars, than the Draconists, than the devil. The forces of light in you are indestructible. However, unless you build enough cosmic consciousness and understand God's cosmic divinity, His celestial plan, and the work that those entities are doing above our heads, you cannot apply your will. So you become a robot, not only of your UCI, which is your unique celestial identity, but also you're being victimized by those negative entities that suck the life out of you. As I said earlier, and I have to repeat myself, that helps the listening audience, you're like a battery. Each time you're negative, whatever reason it is, and we have plenty of reason to be negative every day watching TV, you are taking the plug out of the wall, and you're discharging your battery, and that opens the door to infectious organism, that opened the door to depression, that opened the door to anything and everything that leads to cancer. And I am myself a cancer survivor, and I remember for 2 or 3 years when my wife dropped me, I was depressed, I was very negative. The next thing I know, I was diagnosed with colon cancer. I was lucky enough to have a second chance, God thanks for that. So I can now service the world in explaining the forces of the superconscious will affect the subatomic of the human body and lead on to all sorts of disease. So the idea is to be positive, and it's very, very difficult, believe me.
Right, and I agree with that, because what we have found in our cases, and it really doesn't matter whether it's a spirits we usually just pass over, they go willingly for the most part, but malevolent entities, aliens, things of the negative nature, we raise the vibration of the client and teach them how to keep their vibration raised. It keeps those things away, and that's part of what the extended care does and teaches. Is one with the grounding and the shielding and keeping the positive energy going, and that's what keeps a lot of this kind of stuff away.
Yeah, but there's another thing that comes into play here, is that every one of us inherited a set of stars. But first you have to understand the rules again. You cannot be born unless you die, and that's a fact. So what's happening is when the doctor takes you out of the warm uterine safe life of your mother and he cuts the cord, that's when you died. You died to your mother life, and you become an independent spirit as soon as you come out of the fetus, either a tap on your bottom, or a cold of the room, or the noise into the delivery room. You're going to activate another umbilical cord, which is connecting you to the superconscious in time and space, and your UCI, or your unique celestial identity. Now, within this program that you have chosen before you came in this dense physical world, when you were out there, okay, you have chosen a set of stars, you have chosen your country, you have chosen your parents. They didn't choose you, you choose them. That's why you are related to your family genetically 150%. You may even look like your mom or your dad or your kids. However, they are your biggest strangers because they're never going to think, behave, create, or have the same fate as you. So they have their own fate. Now, within this marvelous celestial design imposed by God through the cosmic code design, again, you inherited a few planets that are malefic. One is called Pluto, which is the planet of life and death, okay, where the reptilians have their base. There is another planet which is called Saturn. It's called the Great Malefic. This planet affects the human body also, and the mental values of any human being at a certain level. Now, the reptilians are able to manipulate those energy and make it much worse for any human being to control is on a chart. Unless you have cosmic consciousness and you're fully aware of your chart, you can apply the part of God, which I said earlier is much stronger than those stars, and control your destiny and beat the reptilians at their own psychical game. So it's all a matter of education. You know, knowledge is power, ignorance is evil.
Excellent, excellent. And getting back to the topic for at least the first 2 hours, we could talk. This could be a whole series of shows.
Oh yes, there is a lot to say, my friend, for that.
So I've got to ask. So through the sacred texts, I know we were talking before the show. Where have you seen in sacred text where Bigfoot, where cryptids, things of that nature have been mentioned?
Well, as far as Bigfoot is concerned, are you talking to me?
Yes.
Okay. As far as Bigfoot is concerned, there is no doubt in my mind that the possibility of those creatures are, to my mind, it's very, very highly possible that those creatures are hanging around in some remote places in the mountain of Washington or God knows where. I believe not because I've seen or because I have heard, but because what I know. I believe those creatures are definitely alive. As far as their purpose, it has to have a connection with the extraterrestrials, and I would have to kind of dig a little bit deeper with Draco to give me some more feedback on those. But for now, that's all I'm allowed to divulge, put it this way.
So with Bigfoot, I've got Bigfoot in my backyard. And most of our locals that are listening, that live up here in upriver Skagit County, and in most of Washington, that live in the mountains, I've got plaster casts of the footprints. I've heard the tree knocks. There's no doubt that he exists. Personally, I believe Bigfoot is interdimensional. I believe he's a supernatural being.
Yes.
I don't believe he's extraterrestrial. And I base that on, you've got two sides to that coin, and many of our listeners have heard this before, but you've got two sides of the coin. You've got the ones that think he is extraterrestrial because you've got the cases where they've seen a Bigfoot get out of a craft, collect water, collect soil, get back on the craft takes off. But you've got the flip side of that, the folks that have seen a Bigfoot and seen a UFO, and you see Bigfoot running terrified from the craft. Now, I do have a theory, and I believe humans are abducted by aliens. We all know that. Who's to say certain races aren't abducting Bigfoot as well for the DNA aspect?
Well, I agree with you 100% that they are not extraterrestrial in nature for one good reason that Draco tells me, is that antimatter does not agree with so it actually supports your your understanding of those nature. There are moments in people's life where they are able to tap on the superconscious and allow to see things that other people are not able to see. So there is also certain cosmic winds or cosmic circumstances that allow some people to see those while other people would never be able to see them. We're coming back to the basic rules again. A magnet will attract a piece of wood. If you have a certain belief on Bigfoot and you happen to have the right cosmic winds on your side, you're going to hang around the mountain. Next thing you know, as the future is nothing else than a reincarnation of the thought, you are able to actually perceive your thought and create your reality. So this is coming from the depth of the superconscious. I'm not sure if you understand it, but this is what I'm channeling from the record right now. Do I make sense? Do I need to ask more questions, or do you need more information from what I'm saying so you can understand where I'm coming from?
Cole, Chris, you guys got any questions?
All I'm trying to say is that the subconscious plays a very, very powerful part in your ability to see or not to see Bigfoot. Let me give you an example of the power of the subconscious. Maybe I'm going to use some very rational terms, so maybe that will help you a step higher to understand why people see Bigfoot and some people don't see Bigfoot. Okay, let's see. When I was a kid, I used to say to my mom and to my dad, why do you guys have to scream all the time? Is there any way you could communicate, normally? I was barely 14 years old. Now, my mom and my stepdad connected, and there is always a time of adaptation when two people meet. Anyway, so they were fighting all the time, and I was making myself a wish, not to hear them. The next thing you know, I end up in a hospital with very serious infection in both of my ears. At the hospital, they stuffed my little butt with 8,000 units of penicillin trying to stop the infection. And a week and a half later, the doctor says to my mom, well, you know what, Mrs. Turi, there is nothing we can do for Louis. He's got an infection that's going to go to his brain, and there's no point for him to stay in a hospital. You can take him back home. In other words, I was just doomed because I was supposed to get infection to the brain, and then from there just die, literally. So when I went back home, my mom was in shock. She says, I cannot have you here, so you're going to live with Grandma. And guess what? Grandma never, ever raises a voice. She never speaks loud. The very same day that I moved into my grandma's house, both of my ear infections disappear by magic. Now, that's where you're going to understand me now with the superconscious. Mm-hmm. I was making a wish not to hear my parents. God, all the superconscious does not rationalize. God will kill innocent children in an earthquake or a tsunami. Okay? He does not rationalize. God does not know what's right, what's wrong, so to speak. He goes by your deepest thoughts or your deepest emotions or your deepest fears or love, which is also a very powerful emotion. So, in other words, he was saying to me, how can I fulfill your wish for you not to hear your parents? And he could only do this physically by making me deaf. Now, if you understand this logic, now you can understand the power that we all have to create our physical element, to create our reality. Will it be for a minute, for a second? And this is where people have a problem, because they are not able to enter the archetypal realm of supracosmic consciousness and understand the communication, the communion they have with their creative power or with the superconscious or God. So when, let's say, for example, I go and visit you and you said, okay, let's go for a walk, Dr. Turi, and I have the same belief, the same strength, the same wish that you have to see Bigfoot. Believe me, your thought and my thought and whomever is with us will act as a laser beam, and we will bring Bigfoot a reality in our concept of our own reality. Do that make sense?
It does make sense. And now now I've got questions coming from the chat room. So Joe wants to know, why are the Draconians here?
Where are the Draconians what?
Why are the Draconians here? So
okay.
I'm kind of understanding that you got the evil side, you got the good side, but why are both of them here? What is with the human race? I think that's kind of what Joe's going after here.
Okay, I understand what he says. What I'm trying to say
is the human race a slave race, or was it originally designed to be a slave race? And so
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No, we have a free will. All you need to understand is you got to be objective, because when you deal with metaphysics, okay, or the superconscious and even God, you have to be objective. You don't want to miss the forest for the tree. You have to get outside of the box of the conditionment that you have, whether it be religious or scientific. You have to be curious and keep a very wide open mind. What I'm trying to say is there is only two forces that creates life. Without the positive, there is no negative. Without the dark, there is no light. Without tomorrow, there is no yesterday. Without the devil, there is no God. You need to understand those two forces, and then you have a hierarchy of energy, dark energy, that constantly battle the white energy. Now, this translates into the devil, the reptilian, the draconian, whatever name you want to give those guys. But you are looking objectively at the forces of darkness. The forces of darkness and the forces of light have been battling since forever. And the idea is to maintain that balance so nobody really wins. If you keep the middle, like the scale, and everything is balanced, there is a process of growth which is the regular procedure of our evolution that has to be maintained. You have to maintain those two forces at work in balance. You cannot have one upsetting the other one, okay? Which I would rather have a world full of love and light and happiness and faith, and where everything is beautiful. But that is a promise that we have into the future, because we are just at the burgeoning age of Aquarius. We are not there yet, of that age of light where there is no room for negativity, for fear, for chaos. That is when the reptilians will be finally moved out of the solar system. So it's very difficult to focus on one thing. Why are they here? They're here to destroy the Earth, to destroy us, because they need the blue planet, because it is a strategic position that will allow them to further the cancer of negativity that they want to envelop the entire universe with. That's not going to happen, because you have the draconians and you have the forces of light working with us. It's very difficult to, especially when you first heard my talk, to relate to me. There is a moment of education that needs to take place, and it all comes down to those two forces, God and the devil. That's it.
And that's really, so also to clarify, so God and the devil are basically just words. It really depends on which belief system you follow.
Absolutely.
Because, the devil is based on Christianity and Islam. Those are the two main religious beliefs that are dominant, that have believed in a Satan, believed in a devil. I don't believe Hindu really recognized a devil per se. Negative forces, yeah. I think every belief system's got a negative force.
Right.
Good,
well,
good
But you need to go, in order to understand religion, you need to go past that. You need to understand where religion comes from, where the energy of religion comes from. Religion is created by a planet called Neptune. Neptune is the ruler of a sign which is Pisces, or the symbol chosen by Christianity, the two fishes, okay? Now, all religion were born in the Middle East. The youngest, deadliest, more detrimental and negative religion of all time, the youngest one of all, are Christianity, the Muslim religion, of course, the Jewish religions. And they're all born in the Middle East. Okay? In other words, the entire Middle East area is controlled by Neptune. And the reptilians knew about it. Neptune is the planet of deception, illusion, God, drugs, alcohol, representing the fish swimming downstream towards chaos. The positive fish swimming upstream represent the positive effect of religion, which means swimming to God's feet, so to speak, and understand His face and His tools. But what people do not know, as far as religion is concerned, is that the initial ministry of Jesus was cosmic. Jesus was very real. His ministry and his cosmic ministry was basically to introduce humanity to our Father in the heavens. And in order to do that, he had 12 apostles. Those 12 apostles represent the 12 hours of the day, the 12 months of the year, the 12 sins, the 12 jury, the 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 notes of music, the 12 signs of the zodiac. You're talking about a mysticism that has been cast aside by the politically oriented churches of the old days, who didn't want to give you the true meaning of Jesus' cosmic ministry, because it gives you too much knowledge. Too much knowledge means too much power. Power means freedom. So it is very important to understand that every single pope, were taught astrology by the Vatican Council. And you can see the picture on my website. If you go to drturi.com, you can see the popes. All popes were enthroned under the sign of Leo, and all popes were taught astrology, particularly the sign of Scorpio, which is the sign of life and death. So Jesus was very real. His ministry, very, very real, but everything has been changed, manipulated. And it's the same in the Occidental astrology, but instead of using the 12 signs of the zodiac, they are using 12 animals, and they have lost the power of the dragon. Of course, when they talk about the dragon, it is just a custom, it's something to have fun with. It is a holiday time, but the true meaning behind the power of the dragon has been lost. Pretty much like everything that people like me were gifted by the universe and by God to talk about end up on the stake being burnt by the Christians long time ago. There's a lot of people working around you that have been victimized by those negative, evil, infected, reptilian-infected religious fanatics that produce groups like ISIS in today, and even worse people during the old days.
Now, I've got to bring this up too, and I won't bring any names up, but there are some that think all aliens are demons, and what's your thoughts on that?
Well, you do have the negative groups of extraterrestrial. As I said, you can give as many names as you heard out there, and there is plenty.
Right.
And then you have the good ones. We're coming back to the same rules.
Mm-hmm.
Some are there to promote the evil and darkness for their own agenda, and then you have the gardeners of this world. You have those good extraterrestrials that stimulate you to further the light, and you can feel it. You can feel when the good ETs are working with you, because you're not aware of it, but every second of your life there is a war in the heavens, the same war that's taking place on this earth, and those entities are working for you or against you on a daily basis, but you're not conscious of it.
Makes sense. And, so I want to get back to something that was also brought up in the chat room that I've been wondering too. So when it comes down to everyone's been talking disclosure for the last 2 years. They've been actually talking about that a lot longer than that. But me personally and Eric Markham, our scientist, are in agreement that disclosure actually started in '52 with the UFO flyover over the White House. But what everyone's holding on to is for the president or the government of the United States to step up and say, "Yep, aliens are here." It ain't gonna happen. But what do you think is going to happen if it ever did? Do you see civilization crumbling because all of a sudden the government comes up and says there's aliens?
Well, let me tell you something. If you could go 200 miles behind your feet, you would be in the Malta lava, where endless disappeared civilization are been boiling since forever. So we're not the first one on this planet, and we certainly are not going to be the last one. As far as disclosure, the government is fully and completely aware of extraterrestrials and UFOs, and the problem is they know nothing about it. And extraterrestrials are not after people who have PhDs, doctors, or are powerful members of the government or celebrities. No. Extraterrestrials are more interested with people who have something to offer. Remember, magnet will not attract a piece of wood. The reason why I have been loaded since the age of 7 years old with extraterrestrial visitation, abduction, and blessings, and God knows what, I'll tell you later on, is because I vibrate at a very high cosmic speed. They are interested in something they have lost. The extraterrestrials are master engineers, okay? Particularly the reptilians, but they are not cosmic conscious. The Draconis are well ahead of the reptilians. God thanks for that the good extraterrestrials are smarter and more refined than the reptilians. The reptilians are master engineers. They know everything about matter. They know everything about technology. When the Draconis build this solar system, let me give you an example. They hijack one of the moon from Jupiter, and by using very, very sophisticated, what you call in human term, nuclear explosion, they brought the moon from Jupiter to this solar system, close enough to the Earth so now she could orbit around the Earth. And believe me, the moon is not hollow, and there is no extraterrestrial in the middle of the moon. That is for people who have no cosmic consciousness, who have only imagination. And there is a very thin hair between divine cosmic information and pure imagination, my friend, and you know that. So when they built this solar system, and they brought all the planets, each one of these planets has a soul. Those planets are not just dead rock hanging up there for the sake of beauty. They have a very specific values that is connected to the human experience. In reference to the moon, for example, the moon regulates your emotional response to life. This is why in time of a full moon, we subconsciously use the words as lunatic, moody, crabby, God knows what, knowing that the moon cycle is 22 and a half days, which is exactly the same cycle that woman menstruation, knowing that the moon creates the tide twice a day. It is very normal. And on time of a full moon, you're going to have a problem to put your ring because you can't ever feel like a balloon. But most of all, she's affecting your emotional response to life. And when she is full, that's where the problem is, and that's where the reptilians are using the lunar energy. You heard again of the word lunatic, moody, and crabby, but at the same time, you know that in the eternal battle between emotions and logic, emotions always wins, and you always lose. That's how it works. So there is a lot of things that people do not know about those two groups of extraterrestrial. You know, it's like you could take two groups like we have on this earth. You have the Democrats and then you have the Republicans. Now you can give as many names as you want because each one of these Democrat and Republican has a different name. Okay, they all can name the same word. So be objective again. Use objectivity. You gotta have that split in every single thing. Even yourself is symmetrical and split in two, with two eyes and two arms and two sides of the brain. Those two forces have to be eternally battling each other for life to exist. And the idea is to keep it in balance. So no one side take over the other one. So life becomes possible as we grow endlessly into forever, into the future. There's so much to say.
Right, and little time to say it. And
exactly.
we're getting close to the top of the hour for our first break. But Terrania is bringing up so I'm taking notes real quick of questions I want to ask you. And she brought up the Illuminati. Now, I've always had this theory, but it's hard to prove theories sometimes because there's never documentation. But
exactly.
the Illuminati. So, was the Illuminati infiltrated by the Draconis?
No. The reptilians are in charge of all the Illuminati because every single corporation is controlled by a person which is infected. Mostly these people, what they want is money, power, and control. So Illuminatis are infected, and the reptilians infect people psychically. They can for specific purpose, and they do abduct people. And I will explain that how they did it with me earlier in my life. But one thing you also have to understand that nobody, the Queen of England or Obama or President Trump, is not going to turn into a lizard. This is again for somebody which is also infected and promoting fears, insecurity, and lies in order to maintain people financial support or high standards in the position they own in their career. Again, I repeat myself, there is only one very thin hair between divine cosmic information and pure imagination. When you have people that say, for example, that this massacre that took place, Adam Lanza killed all these children, for people to say that was staged is absolutely horrific because those tears was very real. Those parents really cry because they lost children. And those talking head, those conspiracy head who tells you that those big Queen of England turned into a lizard, you have to use critical thinking and start to realize that these people don't know what they're talking about because they are infected themselves. Does that answer your question about the Illuminati?
Kind of. But again, you know, a lot of these theories that come out, they're hard to prove because there is no documentation, and there never will be.
And and that's the beauty about me because I'm going to give you some dates later, some predictions. I'm going to always put the green where my mouth is, and then you're going to see the direct connection that I have with the Draconis and Draco, which allow me to give you channel this type of information for you and your audience.
And we got 9 minutes before the first break, but I want to ask you, so CERN is playing with dark matter. So who do you think is behind CERN? Who gave humans the knowledge to play with dark matter and to smash atoms together? And is there a connection there?
Well, it has to do with what you call dark matter. People call me the devil. Religious fanatic Christians out there, when they email me, they said, well, you should be burned on the stake for handling astrology. So your perception of dark matter might be very different than mine. As I said, I don't know. There is dark force, that's for sure, okay? And you're not supposed to tread on the dark forces unless you have sold your soul or your soul has been hijacked, the same story, by the devil. And that's what, of course, you have the white witch. The white witch is people that are highly spiritual, that are natural-born healer, people who carry a tremendous amount of past life with disappeared civilization, the Mayan, the Incas, the Sumerians, Those white witches were basically medicine women, and those are the white witch. Now you have the black witch. These are the one who handle the negative force, like voodoo, to kill people, or to use the atomic substructure of the superconscious to disturb the atomic structure of another human being and drive him to madness or kill other people. Again, it's just a matter of working with the reptilians. Anybody who has a drive to deal with dark matter, to deal with anything that is malicious and negative, is obviously infected. And I would stay very clear from this type of people. Now, there are people out there who are handling metaphysics, but they don't have the supreme wisdom that is associated with this type of handling this type of energy, and then they are taking risks by, getting infected. They could get infected. But as long as they know that there is those two forces, and they can apply their free will by going into the dark or the light to help people, then they are safe. The idea is making the choice to aim for the light. Simple as that.
Outstanding. And when we come back, I want to get into other races, how other races work within both the dark and the evil, and what other races you work with or know about. So,
well, you have the dignified robots. These are the Greys. They don't have much to say. They are just artificial intelligence. They cut the cows. They check. They fly the saucers. They're taking care of the electronics. They're pretty much like the robots that we are building to go on Mars. So these cannot qualify as an extraterrestrial. But they have the appearance, the physiology close to human, people perceptions, of course. Mm-hmm. Now you have the blondes, the Nordics, which are more on the draconic side, which are more into the light, and of course the reptilians, they're pretty ugly. And then again, reptilians have as many forms as your imagination is able to produce. You have to remember every single thing that is around you, okay? The computer that you're using, the car that you drive, 100 years ago did not exist. And I can refer to New York, to Paris, to Washington. I can refer to Los Angeles. Those cities 1,000 years ago did not exist. We, human, through the will of God, through the power of creation, have created all. And it is just the beginning. This is why we are at the junction where humanity must become more responsible in knowing the choice between the darkness or the light, and all the entities that play their part to support both sides of the scale.
All right. And with that, we are going to go to our first break. So when we come back, we'll continue our discussion, and stay with us. Third hour, we are talking predictions in astrology.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hello, my name's Cole Wegleitner with Statement of Sound DJ Productions. We do mixing, monitoring, recording, and editing for all your audio needs. For our local listeners in the Skagit area, we are taking bookings for your 2019 events and parties. We have a wide array of music from any genre. Please allow us to help you make these memories last forever. Contact us at 360-999-2830 or on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SOSDJPro. Join us on September 28th at the Cedro Woolley Community Center for 2019 Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon. VIP All Access passes on sale now at fmparacon.com. Your pass includes all-day admission to see the speakers and workshops, the Ghost Walk, a special VIP workshop, a special round table with the speakers, a Paracon t-shirt, and an FMP Paracon swag bag. These tickets can be purchased from fmparacon.com. Get yours today.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Tonight we're discussing religion and the impact it has on the paranormal. You can also find the archives on our Spreaker site and on the S4 YouTube channel. Just look for, go on YouTube, look for a small S-4 for all the shows you missed in the last 3 years. Anyway, back to the show. So we were talking, I got to get a shout out real quick too. Trippin has been in our chat room here on S4 for God since the beginning of Spreaker anyway, because we actually started on Blog Talk Radio, 2.5 years ago. And every show we've done, he's always plugged Paracon, he's plugged Forest Moon Paranormal, he's plugged S4. He's a promo guy's dream. So, thank you, Trip. We're going to make sure we get you a special shirt just for you. Hell, you know what? We might even get you a Forest Moon Paranormal team shirt. Nobody has those shirts but the team.
You're awesome, Trip. Yep.
Go in the Forest Moon Paranormal group. You'll actually see me with my daughter, Cheyenne, in the studio here holding our gear. If you want S4 and Forest Moon gear, go on the website, s-4radio.com. Go in the store. You can find this real cool S4 mug that I drink out of every show we do. And anyway, back to the show. I'm taking too much time here. This is an information-packed show. Love it. But I want to get back to alien races. Because we know there's a good and a bad. And is there an in-between? Are there any races out there that kind of play the middle, play both sides?
No, it's like asking me if you can walk with 3 legs or if you have 3 arms. There is only 2 forces, good and bad, positive and negative. There is no in between.
Okay.
Those entities are being created from the source itself, from the source of light or the source of darkness. You know, pretty much like you throw a seed on the ground, and if it has enough water, enough sunshine, and the ground is good enough, that seed is going to become a wonderful, powerful, beautiful tree. And that seed is going to die and go nowhere. So we are talking again about life and death, positive, negative, up and down. There is no middle when it comes to the essence of creation. It's either life or death. And in between is you growing, if that makes sense.
So religion talks about God. In other religions they talk. Personally, I believe in polytheism. I work with Celtic goddess Morrigan, and what many Celts call the Green Man. So you mentioned God. I know you're Christian, but God is essentially an energy, correct?
Yeah. God is the essence of the entire universe. God is all, and all is that. And God is you. God is me. God is all is that. In other words, you were made in the image of God. That means you have been granted the power to create. And as I said earlier, everything that is around you has been created by the thought through the energy of creation itself, or what you call God. Once your number is up and you're done, that brings karma. So let me say something. For example, let's say you're a young soul, and all your life, all you did is to bash people of different colors or gays. The next thing you know, when you die, you're
gonna come back as a slug.
That cord that connects you to the universe is cut off. So you're going back home, you're going to God. Now, there is nobody that's going to judge you but yourself. You're going to realize how negative you were, how behind you were by bashing gay people or by being a racist. The next thing you know, your own self, because you cannot lie to yourself, as a God, back to the force, you are going to choose the exact location, and you're not going to go in a higher world. You're going to go right back to earth on hell. There is no hell. This is it. He was set by God this way as a very painful school, because human can only learn through pain. Now you're going to go right back, but you're going to be living in Africa, totally destitute, where you're going to feel what it means to be called a black person negatively. And if not, you're going to become infected, and you're going to have your own gene being manipulated in the womb of your mother, and you're going to become gay or lesbian, and you're going to suffer what it means to be gay or lesbian, or not be understood as a gay or lesbian. So this is how I perceive God. You are God. Do not separate yourself ever from the Creator, because you're not supposed to. And that's one of the reasons why all religion makes sure to separate you from the force, and to make sure that people like me who handle the light and expose the light, I end up being burned in the fire, because we're giving too much information that would disturb those infected corporations. The Vatican is nothing else than a corporation. And a corporation that is taken care of by the Swiss bank, and that's why the guard is from the Switzerland. The same guard that guard all those banks are guarding the Vatican. You know, the Vatican was not always in Italy. The palace of the Pope was in the south of France 200 or 300 years ago. It was not in Italy. But the French king and the Pope had a little bit of a conflict when it comes to power. He'll say, hey, this is France, okay? So if you want to have your religion, you go somewhere else. So the Pope went next door, which is just, 100 miles south. He went down to Italy, and that's where the Vatican was born. And what did Italy brought us? He brought us the mafia, and he brought us religion, and he brought us the Roman Empire. We killed everybody in the name of and Christians, and then finally adopted to the Christian religion and totally and completely rejected the God cosmic divinity.
So you brought up the Vatican. That's a perfect topic to bring up. Where does the Vatican fit in, and why is this Pope different than all of his predecessors? You look at the Pope we've got today, and he's more for the homeless. He's more for actually holding the Catholic Church accountable for atrocities they've committed. Why is this one different?
He's a rapper.
Well, you have to understand that most of the people who join the church, not all of them, but a good chunk of them are doing this because they have easy access to children. And usually anyone who joins religion or follow a religion is already infected because geographically I'm a Christian because I was born in France. Geographically you're Christians because you were born in the United States. But if you were born in the Middle East or in Asia, you wouldn't be either Christians or anything else. You would be already cursed by the reptilians to respond to a religion that was induced and poisoned your parents and your grandparents in the past. You have to remember, religions were created by the reptilians to produce chaos. They knew that by giving different way of belief, a different God, that would create chaos, that would create wars, that would create ISIS. And then the fact is, religious wars have killed more people than all disease and all natural disaster and all human wars combined together. So it tells you that it is a nasty, nasty thing, and we are moving away from that. The new age of Aquarius is making people more curious than what they have ever been before. The age of Aquarius started in 1945. Okay, now Aquarius is ruled and controlled by a planet called Uranus, which is the sudden release of energy. This is the planet to regulate earthquakes, a tornado, lightning, the future of humanity, UFO, astrology, humanitarianism. This planet controls Japan, and that's why Japan is loaded with earthquakes. And this sign regulates the future, technology, and geniuses. But once upon a time, anything that came from Japan was no good, and now it's the best you can get, because this nation is controlled by a very advanced intellectual weird planet, so to speak. That planet is also controlling my own chart. That's why I'm a magnet to extraterrestrial. That's why I'm also dealing with astrology, and I read the future and everything else. So what I'm trying to say is that in 1945, the government hired a bunch of people, scientists, to develop nukes, okay? And incidentally, atomic forces are coming from the age of Aquarius, the sign of Aquarius, which may be the last sign we live on this planet if we keep messing up with the reptilians. So in 1945, the government hired all those people, and those scientists were infected and started to create the bomb that was used for the first time in Japan. Now, for your information, America, July 4, 1776, is a cancer country. Cancer rules the stomach, meaning this country can feed the world and itself very well. And America was born with the tail of the dragon, which is very negative in the sign of Aquarius. Aquarius is the sudden release of energy, or translate with the surprise attack, shocking, explosive attack in Pearl Harbor, and also the surprise attack on 9/11, which I predict a year and a half before in great detail in my book. So basically, America is already fated to suffer a very devastating nuclear attack. Now, the only way for us to, that is written in the stars. You have to be very, very strong. And very, I hate promoting negativity, but I have to say what it is. America is prone to a very shocking, explosive end, and we don't want this to happen. And the reptilians are working overtime. They are using technology. They are using all sorts of negativity and stimulate the minds of a lot of people that are our enemies to mess up the greed, to mess up our technology. They already have infiltrated the government and did whatever they did with politics, with Russia. I don't want to go there, but I'm telling you, what I see is not exactly very positive, and I do not want to support and promote negativity. But now that you're aware of it, that's where you can fight now. You can help by joining the positive thought to make sure the draconians who are working with us, luckily for us, I don't think they will allow this to come through and destroy this great nation. If that was the case, I would have already fly away. And I'm still here, so it's a good sign. But the possibilities are still there. So when man started to develop those nukes in 1945, the new age of Aquarius started. Now, the positive aspect of this sign is us going to the moon, is developing technology to visit other planets which we have no business to do, because we're never going to go on Mars. We already are on Mars, only with a robot. Man, we never set foot on this planet, believe me. It's like asking a fish to get out of the ocean, which he was designed by God to be in his own watery world, to live with us. It's not designed to do that. He can only do it if you give him a scaphandra or you put it in a tank. That's common sense. What I'm trying to say is this new age of Aquarius is going to give us so much progress, so much opportunity, longevity, and the option to really, really reach for the stars as we create our future. If you remember what I said earlier, the future is the reincarnation of the thought. We are creating the reality of extraterrestrials. Extraterrestrial cannot come on Earth when they feel like. It's like you got to have a pass to go to a private area, and you are going to be watched, and you have a time when you need to get out. The extraterrestrial cannot come into this dense physical world when they feel like. They have to use what you call uranic cosmic wind, because their machinery, their technology, and antimatter with this Earth don't agree. So they have to use that for safety purpose. They did not, and they are also accident prone like we are, and that has been experienced with that scout ship who fell in the desert of New Mexico in 1947. So that tells you that extraterrestrials are also prone to make mistakes, particularly the reptilians, which needs to come down here using those windows and taking chances, while the draconians don't have to, because they are much too advanced and they use psychical forces to deal and help us to progress and protect the human being, human race.
Now, I want to backtrack real quick because it resonated when you talk about America, and I'm not sure about Canada, but people look at America, they think everyone's Christian. You look at the Middle East, everyone thinks Islam. So when I went to Iraq, I did 2 tours in Iraq, and as a pagan, it astounded the Iraqis I did meet, because they automatically thought, "Oh, you're Christian." When they find out you're a witch, it kind of shocks them. So it is, yeah. That part I completely agree with. So in the chat room, I just want to clarify, because you said America is evil, and that doesn't resonate. That doesn't resonate too well. I thought that's what you said.
No, I didn't say America is evil. No. Now, America was born in July 4, 1776, under the constellation of Cancer. Cancer was food in the stomach, and America is a big stomach able to support itself and even support the entire world because of its ability to produce food. It's a very beautiful country. At the same time, America, Dragon's Head, is in Leo. Leo, in the second house of money, makes America the most powerful, the most wealthy country in the world. But the tail is in the world of Aquarius, which makes this country subject to suffer sudden release of energy, surprise attack, as I mentioned earlier, as experienced in Pearl Harbor and experience with 9/11. And later on, it could be much worse with foreign powers if we keep going the wrong way.
Right.
But America is a beautiful country. That's why I'm here. And it is a very young country. It's only 200 years old. And it was based and built up upon puritanical principle, making America very, very, very religious and very slow in progressing into the age of Aquarius. Because people have been indoctrinated all the way from Ireland. They brought this infestation, this religious infestation that was brought by the Roman in the first place all over Europe, and Ireland was brought by the Puritan when they built this country. So America is a very young country, and I was chosen, so to speak, to come in this country, which is in desperate need to bypass the limitation of religion and start to realize the dignified values of God's cosmic design. Something that Americans have a bit of a problem because they are conditioned into religion and fears.
And thank you for clarifying, because some of our listeners are evil, and Leo, gotcha. So because America is so young and has so much prosperity, has so much the food, we're kind of a pivotal point within the world as far as helping other countries out, whatnot. Does that make America a target with reptilians?
Absolutely. I mean, you have to remember, if you raise to a position of power, you got a lot of people out there who have inferiority complex. A lot of them do not like my delivery, my supreme confidence in my cosmic predictions. They don't like my attitude. They see me more as an authoritarian, egocentric, because they have an inferiority complex. So, all the while I'm extraordinarily committed to help anybody that needs my help, but there are a lot of people who are unable or unwilling to upgrade. They are too infected. They are either too religious or too critical or too rational, too scared, too religious. And those people who need me the most are the ones who will never get my message, and they are the first ones who are going to criticize me and my work. So I'm used to. I don't take anything personally. I don't care. I'm just here to do a job the best way I can, and I know a lot of people are benefiting of my work. Those who vibrate at my cosmic speed will get it. Those who don't, well, they will have to grow up and come up to me. That's it. Simple. You can only love me or hate me. It's black and white with Dr. Turi. You can only love me or hate me, black and white.
I totally agree, and that's the same in the paranormal field in general. Is a lot of people hate us because they believe paranormal TV versus what we do. And you got haters everywhere you go.
You can. People can only relate to you because of their education, their intelligence, their experiences, and most of all, their UCI, or their unique celestial identity. And no one walking this planet was born with the same UCI. And you wonder why there is a big chaos? Now, if you dig into God cosmic divinity, understand Jesus' cosmic message, and understand that God never came down, wrote no books, but he created the stars, which I speak through the sign. When you are able to do that, that's when you raise your vibration to such a higher level that you can attract the divine and you can create your reality much faster. In other words, if you want to see Bigfoot or if you want to attract the good, the Draconis, you got to be positive, because we, human beings, have created those energies that was waiting for us to get enough water to get the seed growing. We create every single thing that's going on around us. That's unbelievably, incredibly mind-boggling information that humans are not aware of.
Now, who sent the prophets? Where do the prophets come from? Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, all the enlightened prophets that came to basically enlighten humanity. Who sent them? Where do they come from?
You have prophets that created the cult, the Mormonism. You have prophets of Jehovah. You have prophets like Reverend Jones, David Koresh. I can name. You have to be cautious when you mention the word prophets, because man's religious folly is a serious disease induced by the reptilians. Anytime you have somebody who regurgitates the verse of the Bible and talk, you're going to go to hell, you can be sure this person is definitely religiously poisoned and definitely reptilian infected. Now, there are prophets that are real. As far as I'm concerned, Jesus was a very, very progressive, definitely blessed prophet. He was blessed and directed by the Draconis. That's why he surrounded himself with the 12 apostles, which is the essence of the 12 signs of the zodiac, again representing the 12 months of the year, the 12 hours of the day, the 12 sins, the 12 jury, the 12 tribes of Israel. So you're going to the structure of astrological zodiac again, and that's what Jesus was teaching. And then you can go to drturi.com on my website right now, and you can look at the pictures of all the popes being taught astrology by the Vatican Council. There is like 185 miles of secret library under the Vatican where all the work of people like me and relics that was stolen from the Mayan civilizations in Bolivia and in South of America has been collected and brought down to the Vatican coffers, so to speak. This doesn't belong to these reptilian, infected Illuminati that control your psyche. This belongs to you. It is people like me who had that supreme wisdom, who offer it gladly and unselfishly to you and to your audience. This wisdom buried and stolen from our children and all humanity, which is stuck under the Vatican, does not belong to them. Yet they are using it all the time. And yet, I don't know if you heard of a guy called J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan was a billionaire, a millionaire, and he said, millionaires don't use astrology, billionaires do. And whomever made history, including Reagan, Jesus, I can't even remember, all of the people who made history always use the stars. You need to just do your homework and check the reality of my claims.
Mm-hmm. And so where do the stars fit in with astrology?
Well, basically, let's talk about you. You were born in February like me, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now, do you know what your symbol looks like? Your symbol is a man who has a jar and water is pouring out of the jar. Yeah, that is your soul's purpose. You're not. The month of your birth is not you. It is your soul's purpose. So being an Aquarius means, through the means, like me, through the means of the universal design, astrology, computers, technology, UFO, the planet to control your life and my life, or Uranus, the same planet to control Japan and the genius and flying and UFOs and humanitarianism, this planet control your life, so to speak, okay? Now, the idea now is to go into the universe. That's why you're into the stars, who attract people like me who are into the stars, okay? Then there you have to understand God's cosmic divinity who speaks to us through the sign. Again, he never come down and wrote no books, but he made the stars. Then once you digest all this magical divine power. You put it in the jar, and the water pouring out of the jar is you and is me via electronics, via your radio show, via your computer, serving you a very thirsty humanity. That is the symbol of Aquarius. That is your soul's purpose as a promoter of the truth, a promoter of the new age of Aquarius, a promoter of the reality involving the divine and extraterrestrial. And that includes the cosmos or astrology. Do that make sense?
It does. It does.
That is you. That is your soul's purpose. Okay. Now, when you can be born into any sign of the zodiac. In fact, you can go again to my website, drturi.com, and you can click on your sign, and you can read the basics of your soul's purpose. But again, the most important and the most powerful information you're going to get from Nostradamus' Divine Astrology is based upon the location of the dragon. And I wrote many books that are selling on Amazon, but one of them is called The Power of the Dragon. It's about 600 pages. This book tells you who made history, why Hitler did what he did, why killers did what they did, why good people did what they did. So once you find out you're on a natal dragon, then you understand so much more on how the universe and through God Cosmic Design, the green light will be offered to you to accomplish every one of your wishes. It's all based upon the location of your dragon's head, which is a Jupiterian, progressive, positive, cosmic energy, which is stimulated by the Draconis, and then you have the dragon's tail, which is stimulated by the residue of all your past life and the negative energy of the reptilians who don't want you to get out of your tail. And that is what Asia has forget. All the Asiatic country, when they talk about the dragon, they have the year of the dragon, the year of the rat, the year of the tiger. I was born in the year of the tiger myself. What I'm trying to tell you, they have lost the power of the dragon as much as because of the Vatican and the Christianity, the American people have lost the essence of Jesus' cosmic ministry.
Okay, and that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. I mean, you look at today, you look at a lot of those religions today, and they all they want to do is manipulate and control everybody else. And I see that as negative. That's just, it's negativity.
It's sad. It's sad because the first thing they said, if you deal with Dr. Turi and astrology, you're going to go to hell. And these poor people are oblivious. They are not cosmic conscious. They are so paralyzed by their fear. They are so controlled by the reptilians because their teachers are also controlled. And they do not know that the very people who tell them don't touch astrology are using it for centuries. But again, that's too much knowledge, too much power, and that equal to freedom. And they don't want you to have that because that's what the Illuminati do. They control your destiny. And what is even tragic and even more dramatic is all the people in power in any walks of life, not just about politics. Okay, all these people, 99.9% of those people do not know their relationship with the divine. They have no clue what God Cosmic Divinity is all about, and including Pope Francis, even though that he was taught certain values of astrology, the representative of God on planet Earth, and that includes the Dalai Lama, cannot tell you or give you the date of the next earthquake, and I do. I'm sure you heard, and I'm not saying this on an egocentric point of view. I'm just trying to make people use critical thinking. If those people are so godly, they should have powers that should be investigated or at least recognized as reliable and real because they have been touched by the divine, and they did not. They've just been elected by other people that are as smart as they are. Now, there is so much more to say. I'm sure you heard of a guy called Tesla.
Mm-hmm.
Tesla was like Einstein, a master, a genius of the rationale. He was an inventor. He was a mathematician. Both of those men were blessed by the Draconis to become master of the rationale, so to speak. But Tesla said, I know there is a core in the universe that offers the keys, basically, to what it means to be human and the source to gather supreme power. He says that I never, ever found the core, but I know it exists. That's what Tesla said. And then when I said to people, I own the keys of what it means to be human, I own the key of the cosmos, okay? Now, and I give exact date on George Noria, say, be ready for an earthquake. The next thing you know, 5 earthquakes happen on the exact date that I give. That tells you that, you know, I have something, and I have something that you can have. I'm not special. I'm no better than anybody else. All I have is because I dig after 69 years of investigation of the cosmic code and understanding God's cosmic divinity and how He speaks to us through the sign. I have learned the structure of the universe and how to use it exactly like all disappeared civilizations, like the Mayan, the Incas, and the Sumerian used to do, like the Egyptians used to do. And they were not astronomers because astronomy did not exist on those days. They all were astrologers. And you can do the same. And that's where you can see that I'm not an egocentric, because I teach cosmic consciousness. I offer the key of the universe to a lot of my students who really, really endorse and support and really love my work, because I open them a new understanding to what reality is, to what God is all about, and what Jesus' cosmic ministry is all about, outside of what the Vatican wants you to believe.
All right, we're actually 25 minutes from the top of the second hour. I want to bring up, I want to go back to the Vatican. So the Vatican's got the Hubble telescope, which they call Lucifer, light bearer. And we all know they have this hidden vault underneath with a lot of sacred texts that they never released, like the hidden books of Thomas.
The archives.
Say again?
The archives.
Yeah.
The archive, yep.
Why do they keep this hidden? What are they trying, humanity to keep from reading?
I can answer part of that.
You go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, please.
Okay, so part of the reason that some of the archives are hidden, as far as I know, there are 8 levels to the archives. So there are 8 basement floors. The 8th one has 4 separate chambers that you have to go through to get to the last. Those are some of the oldest documented books and scripts and pieces that they have, not only of the Catholic or any Christian religion, but of all histories that the Vatican itself has bought and collected. They cannot be touched by normal air, our air today. There is too much pollution and different things in the air that would harm those items. A lot of it is for that reason. Cameras, those type of things can't be taken into those rooms. They're dark rooms.
Well, when you make a lot of sense, the main reason is those documents would basically support my claims on what God is all about, how the structure of the universe can help you to manipulate power and get yourself in control in power. So I take this as being real. because they're very sophisticated, they're very old documentation, and some of them come from, as I said, disappeared civilization that was stolen by the Spaniard, that was brought to the Queen of Spain, and then from there exchanged with the Vatican. There is all sorts of things that are taking place. You're talking about the religious matrix, which has a lot of ramification, not only between Spain and Italy, but all over Europe. Okay? So, but ultimately, they do not want you, people like you, people like me, or anybody else for that matter, to have access to this documentation. However, this divine wisdom has survived. It has survived through people like you, like me, and like any other people that are spiritually advanced who subconsciously bring it back to the world. And as I said, if I was on the 16th century like Nostradamus was, I could not write my quatrain and my keywords as obvious as they are in predicting the future. I would have to be like him, very, very blurry, because I wanted to keep my head on my shoulder. And the reason why Nostradamus was not killed is because he was quite a good friend of Catherine de Medici, which was the Queen of France. And he was able to make some predictions that came to pass, and by doing so, he was able to cheat the Inquisition and save his neck. In other words, Nostradamus was lucky. In my case, in 2019, I do not have to worry about the Inquisition. I still have to worry about all the religious fanatics who wants to burn me still, but my work resemble Nostradamus. I use quatrain, I use keywords, and I give very specific dates. And I tell you what's going to happen, and the next thing you know, it's going to happen, and then you're going to realize that my UFO cosmic legacy and Draco is very real.
Okay, let's go into the last 20 minutes of this hour, and tell us about your UFO experiences.
Well, my first UFO experience took place when I was about 7 years old. I was pretty handful. I have a very strong mercurial UCI, so I am an ADD, so it's very difficult to keep me still. I have boundless of physical and spiritual energy, and even though I'm 69, people believe I'm 40. So that brings a speedy metabolism that keeps me younger than normal. So what I'm trying to say is, when I was a kid, I was so handful that to punish me, my parents used to stack me in the attic. And the house that we were living in stand by miracle. Every house around in the village was destroyed by German bombing, but my house was standing, but there was no windows, we had no running water, we had no bathroom. We had a butcher who used to kill pigs and lambs, and all the blood and guts were flying by the house right there, and that used to attract a lot of rats. And my favorite time was to kill those rats with a sling. And rat means also a lot of cats. And that was my only source of warmth. So every night, my mother used to say, as soon as you go up, okay, we're going to lock the door, and you make sure to blow your candle, because you don't want to put the fire on your mattress, because I was sleeping on a mattress. And I was always looking for a cat, so it could keep me warm, because there was no windows on the attic, and the wind, it was cold. And that night I couldn't find a cat, so I went to sleep, and I was pretty upset. And in the middle of the night, I felt something touching my foot, and I thought it was a cat. It was very normal for me to wake up in the morning with a rat in my bed that a cat had caught and brought into the attic. So I felt something on my foot, and I thought it was a cat. and I didn't want to lose the warmth that I accumulated into my little blanket, so I kept kicking that thing here, hoping that he would come up and I could grab him and put it into the blanket with me and then sleep like I always do. But he didn't move, so I thought, okay, so I have to go and get him. So I sat on my bed, and oh my God, remember, it was the middle of the night. The only source of light I had was the street light outside. So what I saw in the bottom of my bed was what I described the next day, little monkeys with big eyes, because in 1956 or 57, we had no TV, we had no radio, I didn't know what was a UFO or an extraterrestrial or a grave for that matter. There was nobody that could educate me. And when I saw these three things in the bottom of my bed, I freaked out, and I did what any child would do. Went back into my bed, put the blanket over my head, and then just wait for these things to go. And then I got a little bit courageous, and then I peeped out, and then one of them came up, and it was about 2 inches from my nose. All I remember is that I got so frightened that I passed out. And the next day, as soon as I woke up in the morning, I first thought it was a dream, and then I realized it was not a dream. And I woke up and I screamed my head off. I banged the door. It was like 5 or 6 in the morning. I wanted to get out. And finally, my mother came up and said, "What's the matter with you? What's the matter with you?" I told her, little monkey with big eyes, big black eyes, little monkey, Mama, I don't want to be here. But my mom thought I was just acting out because I didn't want to get, out of the attic because I was punished. I was bad. And then, of course, they locked me back in. But it was daytime, so I was fine. And each time I was bad, they signed me to the attic. And each time, those entities came. And that lasted for maybe 2 or 3 years. And then I realized that these things, which were the gray abducting me, obviously, they always seemed to leave me alone. They did things with me, but I didn't know what they were doing. I just kind of lost consciousness and then woke up the next day realizing that, I would be okay. And that lasted 4 years. That was my first experience, and it was pretty dramatic because nobody was there to give me any form of explanation to what I was going through. And I finally realized later on that I was undergoing some abduction. But again, nothing was done to hurt me, so to speak. But it was very, very frightening. Very, very frightening.
Now, are you still abducted today, or was that only in childhood?
Oh, no, that was my first experience. And I have 5 altogether. The second experience took place when I was about, 18 years old. During those days, maybe a little bit later than that. Maybe I can't remember. I mean, I'm trying to, to recall. That was a long, long time ago. I can't remember if my second experience is with my sister or with my brother. No, it was with, it was with my brother. Okay. During those days, I was in the Royal School of Music in London. I was learning how to play piano. And I came back like I used to every few months. I was back home. And I used to stay with my older brother, Joe. My older brother, Joe, had a restaurant, discotheque, ski station. He was kind of a, mafioso guy, big Scorpio, big tough guy. And he used to live in the farm. And I liked to stay with him because, he had horses, and I was going to his discotheque, and I was having a good life for him. So every night we used to take off around 10 o'clock at night, and then we used to drive through the vineyard. That would take us to the main road, and then to the main road to the highway, and then to the discotheque, which in an hour later we would be arriving at a discotheque, and then we open around 11 or 12, and then we spend all night working, and the next day do it again, have a breakfast around 8 or 9, and go to sleep and do it again. We were living upside down. We would live in the life, so to speak, at night. So, like every single night, we left the farm at about 10 o'clock at night. And I recall very clearly my brother was driving a brand new Mercedes, and those cars are pretty reliable. I have one of those, and they've never had any problem with these cars, so I know they're reliable machines. Mm-hmm. So we drove through the vineyard. It was about 5 minutes past 10 at night, like we did every night. We left around 10. So we were driving through the vineyard, and I saw some light coming on the right side. And I asked my brother, do you see that? He says, I don't see nothing. So my brother doesn't speak too much, you know. I said, Joe, I see some light, and I never seen that. He says, oh, and I asked him, is there people working in the vineyard now? He says, Louis, the grapes are being picked up in September, no, in November. That was November 11, 1981. I remember now, yes, November 11, 1981. That's when it happened with my brother. And then I keep looking at those lights, and my brother was still driving. And there you go. All of a sudden, this brand new Mercedes stopped in the middle of the road. And then when I do my UFO presentation, I'm going to show you the exact area when this happened. So above us, there were like a humming noise, and everything was full of light around us. I said, what the hell? And I said to my brother, I'm going to get out of the car and I'm going to look. He grabbed my hand and he says, are you crazy? No, stay. So the big brother was really, really scared. So I managed to get away from him, and I went outside and I looked above, and I couldn't see anything because all I saw was light. And then all of a sudden, everything was switched down. So there was something above my head that was making a huge humming noise. And I still didn't know what the hell it was. It was not a helicopter, because I was trained to fly helicopters, and I know the helicopter making a flapping noise. There was no helicopter there. And then after a certain time, my eyes go used to the darkness, and then kind of a reddish, goldish ray of light came and enveloped the entire car. My brother was inside of his car, his nose against the windshield, looking off. I was in front of the car, looking up, and all of a sudden, what I saw was a flying saucer, 30 feet above the car, motionless. That huge machine was suspended there. And believe me, I have a better thing to tell you than to make up lies, okay? It is a very, very personal experience to see a UFO. But I'd never seen a UFO before. The only thing I had is this thing when I was a kid, but that was it. It was in the back of my head. It was finished. It was over. And all of a sudden, I see this majestuous thing. And they said if you go under a flying saucer, you're going to end up being cooked. Well, I was there for a while. Believe me, I've never been cooked. And then all of a sudden, I scream. I banged the front on the hood of my brother's car, all the French nasty name that I could find. I said, get out, look at it, all my, I was screaming, swearing. And then the light came on again, and that flying saucer just very gently flew off. And she flew maybe 5 feet above the chimney of a farm that was on the other side of that little road. Oh my God. As soon as I walk in, my brother started his car again, and he looked at me and he says, Louis, this did not happen I said, what the hell are you talking about? It did not happen. He said, you cannot talk about what you saw tonight to nobody. They're going to think we're crazy. See, my brother deal with a lot of big guys, big people, and if he says that, anyway, son of a gun, 30 years later, at a Christmas dinner, he finally said, oh, our children needs to know the truth, and he told everybody, oh, you remember that story about Louis saying that he saw flying saucers above the car next to the farm? Well, it's true. I said, thank you very much, 30 years later.
Yeah.
Anyway, what's funny is when we arrive at a discotheque, usually we only have waitresses there. They are preparing for the night. Okay, we're not open. When we arrived, the discotheque was in full motion. We arrived there. My brother and I would look at each other and say, "What the hell?" We could not understand what the hell we went. So we had a missing time. You know what? In all my life, I never seen my brother either smoking or drinking. Okay. That night he was at the end. He was at the other end of the bar. He had a bowl of scotch in front of him, and he had a cigar. And I was on the other side of the bar with a bowl of scotch and a cigar too. And we were looking at each other like, "What the hell just happened, my brother?" And that was the first and last time I saw my brother drinking and smoking. And then, you know what? After that, I thought, oh my gosh. My mother called me the next day. No, yeah, she called me the next day. Oh, I saw her the next day, and she goes, "Hey, what happened to you and your brother last night?" See what happened? My brother had a very, very close relationship with my mother. She passed, God bless her soul. And I predicted death a few weeks ago on radio. So it was just terrible to be able to predict you on a mother's death. But anyway, she told me what happened last night. I said, "Well, Joe talked to you?" He said, yeah. He had a very close relationship with my mother, so he told her first, but he never told anybody else but my mother. And she kept a secret. She only talked to me about it and nobody else. She was like him, a Scorpio, very private and very strong. So that is my second experience. And after that, when I came back to England and I won the Distinction Cup in front of 400 students, I was very happy. I thought I couldn't get away from the reality that I actually had a flying saucer suspended above my head 30 feet out there. I could not just get over that. I said, my gosh, there might be a little bit more in my life than just cutting records. And then comes my third UFO experience that makes it even worse. Do you want me to get going on that one, or do you want to take on your break, my friend?
We'll go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we'll continue with your UFO experiences, and then we'll carry on the last hour with your predictions. So,
you got it.
With that, folks, stay tuned, and we'll be right back after this break.
You are listening to S4 on Spreaker.com.
Come get spooked at the 4th Annual Forest Moon Paracon in Cedar-Woolley, Washington, Saturday, September 28th. UFOs, ghosts, aliens, Bigfoot. Speakers include Mike Morin and Jason Jordan, R. Keith Andrews, and Dave Scott from Spaced Out Radio, and so much more. There will be workshops and a VIP roundtable. Get early bird tickets now at fmparacon.com.
Well, hello there. Us here at S4 would like to remind you out there that the UFOI team weekly meetings are broadcast live on Facebook from Denny's, where America eats, each Monday night, 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time at UFOI Team on Facebook. The UFOI team's gear, product store, and newsletter are located on their website at ufoiteam.com. To contact the UFOI team with your sightings report or a paranormal story, send an email to theufoiteam@gmail.com. Keep looking up and tell us your story.
Forest Moon Paranormal is a non-for-profit emergency response team that handles all aspects of the paranormal, helping you, your family, friends, and community since 2004. Whether you're having a problem with hauntings, spirits, Bigfoot, other types of cryptids, or UFO activity. Maybe you're just unsure of what's bothering or terrifying you. Or maybe you're just afraid of criticism and disbelief. FMP is here for you. We handle cases globally and locally from our headquarters in Skagit County, Washington. We never accept any form of payment for our services and are 100% confidential. You can find us on Facebook under Forest Moon Paranormal. You can private message us for assistance, or just come join in the discussion and become part of our growing FMP community.
Hello, my name's Cole Wegleitner with Statement of Sound DJ Productions. We do mixing, monitoring, recording, and editing for all your audio needs. For our local listeners in the Skagit area, we are taking bookings for your 2019 events and parties. We have a wide array of music from any genre. Please allow us to help you make these memories last forever. Contact us at 360-999-2830 or on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SOSDJPro. Join us on September 28th at the Cedro Woolley Community Center for 2019 Forest Moon Paranormal Paracon. VIP All Access passes on sale now at fmparacon.com. Your pass includes all-day admission to see the speakers and workshops, the Ghost Walk, a special VIP workshop, a special round table with the speakers, a Paracon t-shirt, and an FMP Paracon swag bag. These tickets can be purchased from fmparacon.com. Get yours today.
Hey everyone, Cole here with S4 Paranormal Radio, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. Looking for a way to get the word out there about your business, group, team, or product? Let us help you. A few clicks is all it takes to get started at s-4radio.com, or you can contact me at 360-999-2830.
Welcome back to S4 with your host, Eric Cooper.
Welcome back to S4. Tonight we're discussing religion and the impact it has had on the paranormal. You can also find the archives at our Spreaker site and on the S4 YouTube channel for all the shows you missed in the last, oh my God, it's been 3 years in July. So we're back to the show, and before we went on break, we were talking, so Dr. Turi was on his first two UFO experiences and on to the third.
Right. The third one happened again in one of my trip back from England down to the south of France, and it was a Sunday, and it was about 10 o'clock when I arrived in my house. Said hello to everybody, and I asked my mom where was my little sister, and she said, "Oh, she left to go to work." I'll say, "Okay, well." I'll see you next time. And about, half an hour later, here goes my little sister. She came back and she was quite upset. She was saying to my mother that she missed the bus, and if she's not at work on Monday morning, she might lose a job. So my mother says, "Okay, don't you worry. Louis is going to give you a ride." And she was working in a hospital as a nurse somewhere in the mountain in the south of France. And again, remember, during those days, I was a young man. We didn't have any cell phone and never knew how to read a map. So, we usually roughly know where we're going, and we ask all the way how to get there. So now let's cut the story short. It's about 4 o'clock in the morning. I can barely keep my eyes open. I'm driving in the high mountain. There is snow all over. I'm very, very tired, and I just hope to find anything open so I can have a cup of coffee, and most of all, ask for direction. Of course, my sister is asleep. And it happened as I was driving down, I saw an auberge, a restaurant, and there was nobody in the parking but me. So I parked by the door. I was kind of surprised. This is not the United States. This is the south of France, in the middle of the mountain. And we don't have any 24 hours operation like McDonald's or things like that,
Right.
So I was kind of surprised. I said, how come in the middle of the night there is a restaurant open? Anyway, so too tired to ask too many questions. I wake my sister up, and I park the car, I walk into that little restaurant, and I told her to sit by the door because I saw 3 huge guys by the bar. So I said, look, and I never forget. I said, what do you want to drink? And I never forget because it was freezing cold. There was snow everywhere, and she was asking me for a Coca-Cola. So I went to the bar. I asked the barman for a Coca-Cola, which I brought to my sister, and a cup of coffee. And when I came back, there's those 3 guys. Oh my gosh, they were so big, so tall. I thought they must have been loggers and working in a mountain cutting trees, because my nose was at their belt, as to tell you how tall those guys were. And then what surprised me, they had no facial expression. They were looking ahead, I said, they look like robots,
Like
all
they're in
dressed
France.
black. Yeah. The Men in Black. That's all I can tell you, all I can recall. Anyway, and then all of a sudden, on my left side, this huge guy looked down at me, and I look up at him, and he says, do you want to play cards? I look at him and I say, no, I'm tired, man. I just want to have a cup of coffee and ask for direction. I'm going to take my sister to work. And he says, come on, play cards. I look at him, I said, man, he's big. I might be drunk. I don't know, so I might as well just say, okay, make him happy and then get the hell out of here. So he had a pack of regular cards, and he gave me the cards face down. And he said, pick a card. So I pick a card, and as soon as I look at the cards, okay, and he couldn't see it. He tells me what it is. I said, oh, that's interesting. I said, and that was it. And then he said, pick another card. I said, oh, okay. So I pick another card, and he does the same thing. And he said, come on, pick another card.
Yeah.
Oh, I said, how the hell does he do that? So in my mind, I recall very clearly. It's funny because this is something that we never forget for as long as I live. In my mind, I thought, this guy must be in my mind. I'm going to change the 9 of diamond for the Queen of Spades. And as soon as I finished thinking this, he looked at me in the eyes and he says, Louis, and I never told him my name, you are not going to change the 9 of diamond for the Queen of Spades. Oh my God. I hold on to the bar at that very precise moment. That felt like if somebody stick a screwdriver from one side of my temple to the other, to tell you the pain that I had. I was holding to the bar to keep my balance. And then I asked the barman, where is the bathroom? Where is the bathroom? He says, right there. And the bathroom was maybe 10 feet away. So the door was open. I managed to go to get there. Okay, I opened the cold water tap and I put it on my face, and I felt if I had a chain connecting me to this guy's brain, and I was talking to him in my head. I was saying, "Who the hell are you? What are you doing to me? Oh my God, I don't give a how big you are, or you gonna tell me?" I was so upset, and I walked out there. I mean, like a pit bull. And guess what? They were gone.
Uh-huh.
It didn't take more than 10 seconds maximum for me to stay, put some water in my face. And I asked the woman, "Where are those guys?" "Oh, they just left." So I went outside. My sister was asleep. I was kind of worried for her. She was asleep. I went outside and I looked both sides and I listened very carefully. There was nothing. So I went back in. I said, "Who are those guys?" She said, "I don't know. They must have drove by a car." I said, "No, there was no car when I came in." And at that very precise moment, I don't even know if I paid the guy or not. I walked my sister up and I said, "Let's get out of here." She says, what's going on?" I said, "Just let's go, sis, let's go." And guess what? All I remember is that it is now 9 o'clock in the morning, and I am driving back on my little village. I am actually back in my little village. Eric, it's 9 o'clock the next day. I do not recall what the hell have I been all night long. I do not recall dropping my sister. My sister doesn't remember anything but arriving at the restaurant and for some reason fall asleep again. She doesn't remember me taking her anywhere. And most of all, I had a headache for weeks that I would never wish on my worst enemy.
Yeah,
now you're
sounds like they switched her off, and that's common with abductions. If there's other witnesses.
Whatever it is that I understand now, Eric, is that they are able to set up sceneries because it's not normal to have a restaurant open in the middle of the night. Okay? They have set it all up. Okay? Secondly, what I believe they did is to finish something or prepare me for something that was going to happen later on that was going to be even more incredible. And it did happen August 11, 1991, excuse me. First one was November 11, 1981 with my brother. Then the other one was that I'm going to be talking about, my fourth one happened in August 11, 1991. Now, during those days, I was living in San Diego, and my wife then, I'm divorced now with her, she was very, very attractive, and she was a model, and she wanted to be part of a pageant in Anaheim, California, next to Disneyland. So she says to me, "I'd like to go there this weekend." I said, "Okay, no problem." So I said to her, "Well, you better have some sleep. If you're going to leave early tomorrow morning, you might as well have some sleep now." So we went to bed early. And again, in the middle of the night, she woke up. Oh, my God, she was in a fetus position outside of the bed on the floor. She was crying. She was screaming. I said, "What's going on with you?" I thought I was going to call 911 because in 10 years of marriage, I never seen her behaving this way. I had no idea what she had, those seizure, or what she was panicking and going crazy. She made me look everywhere in the house. She says, "Look, there's something here. Look under the bed. She made me look everywhere. Okay, so I was able to calm her down. Okay, I don't think we slept much that night, believe me. So when the clock rang in the morning around 6:30, I told her, "You look like hell. There's no point in going to that pageant." And she says, No, I want to go. I don't want to stay in the house." I said, "Okay." So I recall very well because I had a feeling that something extraordinary was going to happen on that day. Okay, I had a feeling. I said, "I got to keep an eye on time." because it happened to me before with my sister. Oh, I want to make sure that I know what's going on. And I told her when I married her, I said, you know what, honey? I tell you right away, I had something happen to me with UFOs, and maybe one of these days you have to deal with it. And then she was joking. She said, yeah. She never believed me. She was a strong, rational Taurus, so she did not really believe in anything like that until it happened, of course. Mm-hmm. So it was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I just finished to fill up my tank, and then we were driving on I-5, going north towards Los Angeles. About 10 minutes as we were driving, I turned the radio off, and I said to my wife, hey, what happened to you last night? She says, I don't want to talk about it. I said, okay, no problem. So trying to find out, if she was normal. Okay. And then all of a sudden, as I was driving, I felt like if I was going down through a cloud. And I thought, I blamed the marine layer in the morning close to the ocean. I said, but something was weird. I didn't feel the wheels hitting the road. What's going on? And the last thing I remember is the sign on I-5 going north that says Jamboree. That's the last thing I remember. And then I find myself in an area, and I said to my wife, what the hell, where are we? She says, I'll keep driving. I didn't see the sign of Disneyland yet. I didn't see the sign of Anaheim, so just keep driving. I said, listen, that's not right. I've been to LA a million times with her before because Grandma lives there, but I couldn't. So I said, I got to get out of here. So I took the first exit, and I drove in a parking lot. There was 3 guys sitting on the back of a white Toyota truck. They were having their lunch. Their breakfast. So I went there and I said, excuse me, could you tell me where I am, please? But they look at each other, like, this guy's crazy, smoke to my spot, whatever it is. I was really lost. And they go to me, oh, you are after Los Angeles, you are at the zoo parking lot. I said, okay, all right. I had no idea. So I was really gone. I said, okay, what time is it, please? And look at his watch, he says it's 9 o'clock. Oh, my God. So, okay, I took a deep breath. I went back to the car, and I said to my wife, honey, I grabbed her hand, and I said, do you remember when I told you when we got married that maybe you would have to go through some of this UFO stuff? She said, what are you talking about with you bullshit? I said, listen, we are after Los Angeles. I said, come on. I didn't see the sign of Disneyland. I didn't see the sign of Anaheim. We were supposed to exit the Catella. What are you talking about? She didn't want to believe that we were 90 miles north of where we're supposed to be. 90 miles. Now, the only way for me to be able to do that would be if I drive over 100 miles per hour with a Ferrari where there's no traffic and no cops to stop me.
Right.
So anyway, it took me more than 2 hours to go back to the hotel where she was having that thing. And then basically I was just barely half an hour maybe from where I was supposed to be, from my house. And we were so disturbed that we actually spent the night in a hotel because my wife didn't want to go back. In fact, she called her friend, and her friend's mother lived in Phoenix, Arizona, and she drove from Anaheim straight to Phoenix, Arizona. Okay? Now, the next thing you know, I was so messed up. I said, how is this possible? When I was a kid, then those 3 guys, then the flying saucer above my head, whatever, and then now this, what's going on? Then I met this guy called Sean Atlanti. That was in during those days. He told me, I know he was a UFO researcher because I didn't know what was the UFO phenomenon. I was not into that at all. he told me, look, I know 2 top hypnotherapists in Victorville in California. I talked to them, and they're going to regress you. They're going to use Panafol, something, a drug or whatever it is. So I said, okay. And then I had a doctor there. Anyway, they had a camera, television camera. They froze the first frame, and they froze the last frame 1 hour later. I did not even move a fraction. That tells you that I was really under. Those 2 hypnotherapists really knocked me down big time. And there is a moment where I describe when I was inside the flying saucer, that I was sweating, and you could see me literally dropping water from my face. What happened is, as I was driving in Los Angeles, when I drove through this cloud, we were sucked into the belly of a flying saucer, my wife and I. When I was like in a garage inside the saucer, and those 3 guys that I saw with my sister, those tall, big guys, came. They opened the door, and they told me, you know where to go, Louis. And I said to my wife, don't worry, honey. Been there, done that before. You'll be all right. You'll be okay. Okay? And then I went inside what you call a decontamination room, where I saw the earth the size of a football. It tells you how far I was high out there into that saucer. And I complained because it was very, very hot into that room. It was from the decontamination room before getting inside of the saucer, inside of the electronic room, whatever I was supposed to go. I had to go through that. And then that's where you see me sweating bullets of water out of my body. You see me on that video. Okay, when I complain being so hot. After that, I went inside of the flying saucer. That's where I saw the Greys. They were doing all the electronics, and I knew exactly where to go. And I went to see, to screen, and that's where I saw my wife laying down on a glass table, and they were Gray doing surgery on her. They were actually removing our child because she was pregnant. They took the fetus out of her. And I was not upset. It's like if I did agree on that. I was not upset watching that. I was just totally fine. And the proof of that is when I saw my wife afterwards and I looked, just above the airline, she had a 2 or 3 inches scar that was not there before. And she's the one who actually pointed out to me. She said, honey, what is this? It looks like a laser cat, where they were able to go through there and take the fetus out of there. So once this happened, I knew it was my time to go to another room. I went into that room, and I sat in the middle of that room, and something came down from the ceiling all the way down to my nose, so I couldn't see anything. And then from there, that helmet, I felt like a mixture of electricity, steel, concrete. I don't know. It's like I was imploding. And the next thing I know, I'm driving at 35 miles per hour on this little speed bump, wondering where the hell I was, and that's where I exit, and that's where I find myself after Los Angeles, 90 miles north.
Now,
so
real quick, Trip's got a question in the chat room. Do you ever get a description of the outside of the craft?
I have a picture, the best of my recollection. Yes, I do have on my slideshow. Yes, I will show the exact size of that social. Yes.
Okay. Was it?
I don't have the pictures, but because I was inside.
Was it your typical disc?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I the one I have seen with my brother, even though that it was 10 o'clock at night and it was nighttime, there was so much light pouring under that saucer that it brightened the entire area. Half a mile around it, it was bright light. So I could see the shape of that, the humming noise that it was making, and I had an artist I drew it the best way I could, and an artist made a painting for me, which I have on my slideshow. I will show it to you.
Okay, cool.
So, when you look at it, after that, of course, my wife disappeared and divorced me because she got scared to go through that again. I understand her after 12 years of marriage.
Right.
After that, I went back to my apartment, and I could not help myself. That's where I started to study everything about Nostradamus and astrology. And I literally drew so many things in every one of my walls and my doors. I couldn't help myself, and I drew all sorts of UFOs and symbols, and I was trying to express what happened to me. And the only way I could do it is by painting all these symbols on my walls. So imagine when my landlord came and collected the rent, and he saw his entire apartment all repainted like that. He said, "What the hell's going on here?" And that person became my best friend because he was into UFOs too. And I explained to him what happened to me. When I started reading him, I gave him a shock of his life. That's the first reading I ever did was for him. And I told him all sorts of things that happened. And we still are friends today. We know each other for 40 years now. So basically what happened is that flying saucers is that I was downloaded the secret of the cosmic code. I was stimulated to learn everything about Nostradamus natural healing and do what I do so far. And the very last experience that I had is probably the most spiritual one, is when Draco entered my body, my mind, my soul, literally. The Draconis I'm channeling. He entered. He connected with me in June 7, 2012, during the solar eclipse. And again, I have the proof of that by a succession of orbs that are coming to me, enter my third eyes, and exit through my heart. And you can see those orbs on my website, drturi.com. This is also part of my slide presentation. You will see that it's impossible, totally impossible, to duplicate those orbs, and the succession coming very close to me, getting into my third eyes and coming out of my heart. It's impossible to do it.
I can't wait to see your presentation. Let's. We only have 35 minutes left of the show, and I want our listeners to hear some of your predictions. So if you could jump to the predictions.
Yes, let's do this. So I'm going to ask your audience to get a pen, because it's important to write it down, okay? I'm going to give the same exact date that I gave on George Norrie and many of my TV and radio show that I did the last 2 or 3 months. The first date I'm going to give you is April the 12th, okay, which is not too far from now, April 20th, okay, and April 27th. I'm going to give you 3 dates. Again, April 12th, April 20th, and April 27th. Now, each date has a keyword. April the 12th is the keyword is the beginning or ending of important phases of life. This is the same type of energy that I gave on a TV show, Age of Truth TV, and on the exact date that I gave, my mother died, and David Icke was refused the access to Australia for a visa, which means all the people in Australia also experience an ending because David Icke cannot go and speak there anymore. So when I say the beginning or ending, it is something that has to do universally with the government, but it's also going to affect you personally. You have to be able to analyze yourself. On April 12, 48 hours before and after the 12 is the focus point. That is when you will have to have like a beginning or an ending of an important phase of your life. Now, I don't know what it is. I give you an example. I lost my mother. David Icke was refused his visa. Okay? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm using this as an example. This means also, of course, beginning and ending could mean a devastating earthquake that forces, people to relocate, start a new life somewhere else because of tsunami. So there is always either earthquakes or natural disaster, tornado, taking place during those days. I'm giving you what I call SOS to the world deadly windows. These are when the reptilians are getting really, really active. They use those windows to stimulate humans in nature to be very destructive. All right, let's go to April 20th now. The keyword is clear: death and drama. This is the most powerful window the reptilians will always use. During those days, cops kill innocent people kill cops, crazy people take a machine gun and kill. This is the date that I gave to the FBI, and then next thing you know, they came and visit me, wondering if I was a terrorist, because terrorist attack also tend to happen. So death and drama means somebody famous will have to go. Okay, you may hear about somebody dying on the big scale. It could be a famous person. This is one of the most obvious windows, because keywords death and drama is pretty clear. Okay, so that means in your case or my case, it's like you're going to have a new life, not like a beginning or ending, but pretty much something that will change or can change your life and the life of many people. The last date I'm going to give you is April 27. The keyword is shocking news. Okay? Shocking news, and that always involves earthquakes also. All my windows involve earthquake. Shocking news means things that are non-natural, cosmic news, things to do with UFOs, technology, airplane. Might be an airplane is going to crash. I mean, let me tell you a story about this. I was on the TV show with William Shatner. You heard of him, yes? Mm-hmm. William Shatner said to me, Dr. Turi, I don't mind to put you on national TV, but you have to give me the proof that your work is real. I said, okay. I said, how do you want to do that? He says, I want you to give me 5 dates. You're going to put it in an envelope, and you're going to send it to me in Canada. Then on the date of the taping, my crew is going to be in your house. The first thing they're going to do is to open this letter. They're going to look at your prediction, and they're going to go on CNN. And this is exactly what those 2 producers did when they came in my house. And they were in awe. They were shocked. They called in from my house, and they said, oh, my gosh, Dr. Turi is real. And then when I said cosmic news, that was the biggest solar flare ever that took place on the exact date that I gave. On that day also, we had a helicopter that crashed, killing like 20 servicemen, and we had a big explosion. There is always involved explosion that killed a lot of people in Iraq. Mm-hmm. So the keywords are simple. On April 27, shocking news. Sudden release of energy, explosion, cosmic happenings. Usually NASA make the news during those days too. Now, all the details to those dates goes with a quatrain. And all you have to do, again, is to go to drturi.com, and you can read all the details about all the dates that I give you and all the quatrains that are associated with these dates. All you have to do is to read 2019 special George Norrie Dr. Turi predictions. It's on my website, just under my pictures. And then you have more detail about what to expect on those 3 dates in this article.
Okay.
And when everything comes to pass, that's when you're going to realize that Dr. Turi is real and is really dealing with Draco, because so far Draco has never let me down. Every one of my predictions came to pass. It's scary. And it can become like a curse, because this gift can become a curse because it's like a razor blade. Yeah. I see things that I should not see sometimes, but you know.
So how do you handle it?
How do I handle it?
Yeah, how do you personally handle it? I mean, do you get visions? Do you actually see what's going to happen, or?
Yeah, I see it. I use a software that I designed, a different software. Unlike NASA, I understand that the planets are more than dead rock hanging above your head for the sake of beauty. Each one of these planets has a specific power, so to speak. And when they become very strong, they create SOS to the world deadly window. They produce very negative cosmic winds, which are used and manipulated by the reptilians. Okay. And then you have the good ones that are, handled by the draconis. It works both ways. Remember, black and white, up and down, God, devil. Okay, so sometimes it's difficult because I don't, when I say expect the beginning or the end of important phases of life, and then next thing you know, I lost my mother. Well, I wish I did not know, but at the same time, that's how it is. So I think it's good to warn people. Okay, there is a SOS to the world window coming up. Don't take chances. Don't play. When I mention this window, death and drama are the key words. On those days, be careful what you do and what you say, because anything you're going to do or say during those days are going to follow you for the rest of your life. Okay, that the same energy that I say, death and drama is right now. You probably heard of that mother that drove a car and killed 6 kids with her. Did you hear that on the news?
Just to be honest, I stay away from the news.
Well, that's happened today. We are under that. We are under this death and drama energy right now. And that's where you have also this reality show guy. He had a road rage, and he went outside of his car and he punched this guy and he killed him. And one punch, he killed the guy. The guy was 63 years old and he died of a heart attack. And next thing you know, this 22-year-old guy's career is now messed up because nobody was there to tell him that he was under the death and drama window that could literally change his life. So the reptilians used that nasty window. They took control over this guy's emotion. He went berserk. He punched the guy, he killed him, and he ruined his life. The same story with these 2 ladies who took 6 kids and drove over a cliff. Both of them had alcohol and had drugs in their blood. The reptilians knew those windows were coming. They led those ladies to drink and take drugs, and they all end up in the ocean. That is where we're going now. So when I tell you death and drama and I give you that date, you are being warned. You don't take chance. You don't mess with the police. You don't mess with people. Life doesn't stop. You keep going. However, now you know there is a red light. You've been taught to stop at the stoplight and the red light. You've been taught the laws of man. But again, God never came down and wrote no books. But he has a set of laws that are written in light via the stars. And my gift is to translate those laws via the signs by giving you those windows, those quatrains, and those obvious keywords that you can read again and assimilate if you want to read better from my website. Mm-hmm. So you're being warned, and I think that is a blessing.
Now, yeah, so my point with that is, so you get visions of what's coming. How do you deal? I mean, I know it's got to suck seeing the devastation of what's coming. How do you personally handle that?
I wish everybody knew the power of how those stars interact and how they are manipulated by the reptilians, so we could stop it. Mm-hmm. But I know the negative flux is so strong that I'm using it to prove to you the reality. If I tell you tomorrow you're going to have a brick coming on top of your head and breaking your skull, you're going to remember negative news. But if I tell you good things, you're not going to remember as well. Do I make sense?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Because the negative element is so strong. So I'm using that, okay? But ultimately, if the majority of human beings were cosmic conscious, they understood the passage of the moon through the belt of the zodiac that create those deep, powerful emotions, which are in turn manipulated by the reptilians. We could avoid this. We could control everything, not just the weather and natural disaster, but we could control the outcome of our own future. But as it stands now, the reptilians are leading. They are winning the battle, so to speak, because religion and science have taken over the information, and when you control the information, you control everybody else. And they have the money, they have the organization, they have the power, they own the media, and they are the Illuminati, and we're paying the consequences. But that will change. That will change. That's why we are working hard. God thinks there are people like you over there that help me to pass on my message, so people can start to apply their will and start to be more curious.
Now, just going on a limb here, where do you see this planet, human civilization, in 10 years?
10 years, if we make it 10 years.
That's not good.
10 years ago, I was on George Norier, and that's exactly what George asked me. He says, Louis, how long do we have? I said, if we are lucky, George, we have 50 years. That was 10 years ago.
Right.
Now, you ask me the same question. I'm not going to tell you we have 40 years. You said it. You said 10 years. Subconsciously, you give the timing. You already have your answer, 10 years. Now, between now and then, we can turn everything around. But as it is now, there is too much negativity. There is no enough cosmic wisdom. There is no awareness of the reptilian agenda. So this negative flux can only grow like a vicious cancer, which will become unstoppable. And that's where much of the prophet says we are coming towards the end of the days. However, I still believe we can turn things around because we are able to do so. We are the master of our destiny. But without the correct information and without cosmic consciousness, it's a lost cause. 10 years is lucky if we get there.
And yeah, it reminds me of the people that go to a reader. What they don't understand is they get a tarot reading, and you can change your tarot reading. Your destiny is not locked into a tarot reading either. It's the same thing. Go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is you can only apply your will if you have full cosmic consciousness. How can I explain that? Somebody, for example, which is loaded with a planet called Neptune, will have a natural addictive personality. Addiction can be coming from not only from legal or illegal drugs or alcohol, but also religion. There are people that are addicted to religion. So if these people could auto-analyze and realize the power of Neptune in their chart and realize how they are designed, then, only then, can they apply their will to control the negative pull of the planet Neptune, which is manipulated again by the reptilians and turn these people into ISIS soldiers. I exaggerate, but that's what I'm trying to say. Mm-hmm. Now, there are other people out there who have a very, very rational UCI. All their planets are into Earth sign. So these people are mathematicians, logisticians, they are politicians, they are intellectual. They turn themselves, they are born natural skeptic, agnostics, and atheists. They have the essence of the atheist, because Saturn is too strong in their chart. You have another case with people who have a very strong Mars in their chart, okay? And those people are controlled by this planet which rules the life of Hitler. The Aryan race in the sign of Aries is controlled by Mars. If those people were able to realize that Mars is overpowerful in their chart, they control the planet, but you cannot do that with adults. It's impossible because adults are too conditioned. But they are children. They are children. You can. Because even Adam Lanza, or the greatest, biggest freaking criminal in the planet, once upon a time were innocent, loving, and secure children. But nobody was there to tell them how the stars they inherited were going to be manipulated by entities who wants to lead them into darkness and stop the progress, love, and light of humanity. It's just a lack of education. And sad enough, the U.S. Department of Education is never going to allow me to teach those kids their relationship with God, to teach those children the true Jesus cosmic ministry outside of the, ridiculous Bible junk that they've been forced to brainwash with since they were children, and so were their parents and grandparents. So you're talking about centuries of brainwashing, which is going to be taking many, many years to fix. Sad enough, we don't have time because everything is accelerating really, really fast. It's not like it used to be. There's no time and space. Now you can talk to me from the other side of the planet. Everything is happening right now. Everything is fast. So, I understand exactly what should be done, but, it can only be done with the children. And I believe if we make it, which would be a miracle, to tell you the truth, at least my work is crystallized under my books or on the internet, and those future generation will be much more spiritually inclined, and they will be digging into my work to find some of the answers that God has enslaved every one of us to look for.
Okay, well, so one last question. So Dr. Turi is here to spread the warnings to humanity. Does the other side, the negative powers that be, do they have a similar Dr. Turi to warn them?
Well, I'm not sure I understand your question.
So
a little bit tight.
So do the negative, the negative side of humanity, do they have their own predictor that's going to warn them about things that are coming to get the negative?
Well, anytime you listen to an apocalyptic promoter, somebody that is simulating negativity, you have the forces of darkness. Mm-hmm. In my case, I have to go down to people level into the darkness, and I have to go down there, and then I have to, from there, bring you up into the light. When you're a child, you're negative, you're innocent, you don't know enough, and you're going to spend 80 or 90 years, if you're lucky enough, on this planet and gather a lot of information. And that's the beauty of being human. We're all growing into the light. We cannot be stagnant. Meantime, the forces of evil, the forces of darkness are always going to be there trying to stop you to move forward. But the good news is that the Draconis are so ahead, so more powerful than the Reptilians. And the only problem is they are law obedient. They respect the laws of the divine, the cosmic laws that are imposed by the scheme of things in the universe. While the reptilians don't care, they don't respect no laws. They are interfering with the human affairs on a negative way. While the reptilians are not interfering, they are actually helping but at the psychic level, while the reptilians are not supposed to interact with humans on the physical way, but they're doing it by using a very specific uranic window to abduct humans and manipulate the genes right into the womb of the mother. So there is all sorts of rules that are in place, that are respected by the Draconis and totally ignored by the Draconis, which are crooks. They're working for their evil. They are the criminal element of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to keep in mind those two forces, negative and positive, the reptilians and the Draconis, whatever name you give them. There's millions of names for both of them. Stay with the light, and regardless of what is being thrown at you, you have your own will to take it or not take it. And even though that it can be painful when I tell you we may not survive the next 10 years, I still have to tell you that. So now you understand the gravity of the situation, and you start to generate positive thoughts, so that you become now a participant of light. You become part of the solution by being positive, regardless of what is thrown at you. Say, okay, I'm listening to all your junk. Doesn't make me feel good. I'm uncomfortable. Okay, you said your piece. However, I still believe that ultimately God will take care of everything. Okay, I believe in on the good part, on the good side of humanity. I believe in good heart. I believe in the future. I believe in love. I believe in light. I believe in salvation. I believe that the force, God, the Draconis, will always be there. That's all you got to do. And you have to mean it inside of your soul. You start with yourself. Start with me, you, and everybody that is listening. Regardless of what is thrown at you, don't go with it. Just do not go. Refuse it. You have the power. You have the right. And you have to make the decision. I do not want to be a participant of the darkness. That's all you got to do. You got to use the psychical, progressive, positive energy. And that's why I bring you all the way down to hell, so to speak, where you guys are. And then from there, bring you up. And making you aware that you're the part of God in you, the part of light and life and consciousness is much stronger than the reptilians and the darkness. And as long as you keep that little spark, there's nothing that's going to happen, and we can beat even the impossible, because that's what we were born to do, to create our future. So the choice is given to us to create the future, so why not creating a beautiful future? We can, and we will, and that's what I firmly believe. And that's what I want to end your show.
All right, sounds good. Where can our listeners find your website, your books, and your information?
Well, I do have different books that I wrote for my students. I strongly recommend any one of your audience to invest in a book called Beyond the Secret. So you need to understand the power of the subconscious. Because this book definitely will give you a lot of information on the divine. And God created the stars is a good way to start also to understand the dynamics of the structure of the universe. I Know All About You is for more advanced students, and The Power of the Dragon, definitely a really, really good book. I'm going to be doing a UFO conference, UFOcruise.com. I'm going to be going with a bunch of UFO speakers. We are going to be talking about our repertoire wisdom. I'm going to be doing exactly what I'm going to do at your event when I come and see you. Mm-hmm. I'm going to show you the power of Draco. I'm going to put you in a very light trance, because I need you to be conscious so you can bypass the subconscious with my direction. And I'm going to get Draco to work through you. And then believe me, once you're done with 20 or 25 minutes with Draco working through me, your craziest dreams can become and will become a reality if you really, really trust the power. And you're going to feel it. It's safe. You will have control. If you have any form of infestation, will it be depression, insecurity, guilt, whatever, all that's going to be cleansed out of your body. I can do that. That's what I do. I'm a soul doctor. Even though that I teach who is who in America in the latest cancer research surgeries, psychiatrists are my students. The mayor of Phoenix is a student of mine. You're talking about NASA students. You cannot be a normal person and learn from me. You have to be a superhuman. You have to be intuitive enough, and you have to be willing. That's all you got to do. And then I'll take care of you, and Draco's going to do his miracle work when I come and see you guys and do what I do best, healing people at the psychical level through the superconscious.
All right, that sounds awesome. And so looking forward to meeting you in September.
You
Cole,
bet, my friend.
Excellent. Cole, where can we find the Statement of Sound DJ services?
Well, you can find us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/SOSDJ.com. No, SOSDJ Pro.
All right, there we go. So, I've got this cough. Anyway, I want to thank our crew tonight. Cole Wegleitner, FMP Culture and Research Specialist and owner of Statement of Sound DJ Services. Chris and Brent Dodge, Chris with the Extended Care team, Cole with the Astral team, and Dr. Louis Turi of the Cosmic Code, author and lecturer, regular on Coast to Coast with George Dorney. So make sure you go check out our new FMP and S4 store with all kinds of cool gear, and only found at www.s-4radio.com. Thank you again for listening to S4. Keep your eyes to the skies, and remember, it's you that gives us a reason to produce S4. Stay safe out there, my friends. See you next week. Next week, we're actually talking Project Blue Book. Project Blue Book is over, and we're going to go over the history and how accurate was it really. So thank you again, folks. See you next week.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us tonight on S4, the official voice of Forest Moon Paranormal. You can contact S4 through our website at www.s-4radio.com or on Facebook. Make sure you give us a like on our page and join the Forest Moon Paranormal group. If you are interested in advertising, take a look at our packages and contact Cole or Eric at 1-360-999-2830. Again, thank you. And remember, keep your eyes to the sky.